In the left corner, weighing in at 17 pounds with a 2.5-inch voice coil, we have the American Bass XT subwoofer. And in the right corner, weighing in at 13 pounds with an unlisted voice coil size, we have the Pioneer W312 Champion Series. Which of these subwoofers will rise to the challenge and win this comparison? Well, friends, the choice is up to you, so let's get straight to the video. Alright, let's start off with the measurements. The outside measurements on the American Bass are 12.5 inches. On the Pioneer, you are at 12 3/4 of an inch. If we're going surround to surround, we have about 10 7/8 of an inch on the American Bass. On the Pioneer, we are right at 11 1/8 of an inch. The cone area, we are 9 1/8 of an inch on the American Bass. The cone area on the Pioneer is 9 3/8 of an inch. The surround width on the American Bass is 1 inch. On the Pioneer, it is 7/8 of an inch. The surround depth is right at 1 inch on the American Bass, 5/8 of an inch. As far as mounting depth, we have right at 6 3/4 of an inch on the American Bass, and we are right at 6 inches on the Pioneer. Looking at these from the backside, you can see basically two completely different types of subwoofers. This one has a double stacked magnet that is 125 ounces, so it is pretty beefy. You've got lots of perimeter venting. So this is kind of standard basket for this price range, and we've already seen it on multiple subs just in this shootout alone. That being said, the push terminals look to hold about 10 gauge. The Pioneer, on the other hand, we have a little bit of a different story. We have this plastic cover, which, I don't really like. Some people might think that this plastic cover makes it look a little more sleek. I guess that just boils down to a personal preference thing. And the push terminals are about the same and look to accept at about 10 gauge as well. What do you say we take this cover off so we can see what this subwoofer actually looks like? With the cover off, you can see that this is a pretty unique basket. It's very, very different than what you typically see. You can see that the motor is double stacked, but it is much smaller. You have a flat kind of base for your spider, and it does have some perimeter venting. Whether this piece here affects that perimeter venting or not, I do not know. Now we do have two different types of tinsel leads. On the American Bass, they are sewn into the spider pack, making it much more durable for high performance applications. On the Pioneer, you kind of got an old school attached to the cone itself. So we will see if this makes a difference in this test SPL wise and durability wise. This was meant to be a single 4-ohm voice coil so that we could run each of these 4 ohms as we've done before. They shipped me the wrong subwoofer. I don't have time to wait another 2 weeks to return this and get the 4 ohms. So I'm just gonna have to make a bit of an adjustment and make sure that these are getting similar powers.
want to be the best in the game, invest in my name.
All right, I am in the Trooper. The Pioneer is up first. We've got it in the enclosure, ready to put it through the same test that every other sub so far has been through. We're going to play the same track. I'm going to do a frequency sweep, then I'm going to do individual frequencies. So with that being said, one note, I mentioned this before, it is a dual 4 ohm subwoofer. I did try it at 2 ohms, and let me just say that's way too much power even once I backed it off. So in this test, this sub does seem very efficient. It is going to be bridged at 8 ohms mono, giving it around 500-ish watts, making the test of this sub versus every other sub a bit unfair just because it's getting a little less power, but I want you to know that up front. That way you can factor that into your decision on the final vote. So let's listen to some music. Alright, that is the Pioneer. It did a 138.7. It actually is very impressive at a 138.7 with 500 watts versus the 1000 watts that every other sub had been getting. It doesn't look like much when you take off the cover. I just realized as I'm editing, I never made mention of the sound quality of this subwoofer on the live take. So here I am to talk about the sound quality. And it turns out I really didn't mention it kind of on purpose because I didn't think it sounded all that great. It may be tied for like one of the worst sounding subs that I've tried so far. So take it for what you will. Sound quality is subjective. Up next is the American bass. I'm expecting maybe a little bit more SPL out of it. And we'll see how the sound quality goes. So let me get that in the enclosure. So the American bass was about an 1/8 inch too big. I used a rubber gasket again. I know I need to make an MDF adapter plate, and I will do that at some point. But I didn't have time. I needed to get this finished. So for now, the rubber gasket trick will do. All right, we are back in the Trooper. We have the American Bass XD in here. Let's see what this thing's made of. Let's see how the sound quality compares to the Pioneer. So let's listen to it, see what it sounds like, and then we will see how much SPL it actually puts out. Alright, we did get more SPL out of the American bass. We got a 139.5, so very close to 140 decibels on 1000 watts. Pretty impressive if you ask me, although it's not a whole lot more than we got with the Pioneer. That being said, I thought the sound quality was pretty good. It's somewhere in the category of the CT Sounds and the Scar sub that we tested. I wouldn't consider this a sound quality sub. I wouldn't consider any of these subs like a true sound quality sub, so to speak, but I think it does sound pretty decent. It's not bad at all. You're not going to notice anything weird. I think it's a overall pretty solid sub. If you want output, this might be your choice. What do you say we jump back to the studio and I kind of give you my final thoughts about both the subs? All right, we're back in the lab and it's time to talk about these subwoofers. What did I think about them? First, let me point out a few weird things with the Pioneer. I do not like the whole plastic situation on the back. Also, there's kind of like a leatherized surround situation going on. And I know that some of these, after they age a while, start to kind of look pretty gnarly. So that's two aesthetic dings against the Pioneer. That being said, I thought it performed admirably. It's about a dB quieter than the American base, but it was literally on half the power. So you need to factor that in. Could it handle the 1000 watts? You know, probably not. It is rated 500 watts RMS. That's acceptable for the subwoofer in my opinion. That being said, the American bass is no slouch in its own right. It is a dB louder. It could definitely handle more power. I could clearly tell that in the testing. I think it sounded decent. It was on par with the CT Sounds, the Scar, and a few others that we've tested. With all that being said, you've heard my opinion, what I think about the way each one of these sounds, what the numbers were SPL wise. It's time for you to make a choice and pick your favorite. If you're watching this video now, the poll will be in my community tab and you can go vote. After this, we're on to the final four. The top four will battle it out for the championship. Now, I plan on having a slight break in videos between this video and the final four video. I have a few more projects that I need to work on in between, so you will see one, maybe two videos before the final four happens, but it's coming. It's gonna be epic. I plan on doing it all in one video. Then we'll go to the championship and we'll wrap this all up. If you guys are liking this style of shootout, let me know in the comments below, because I'm considering doing a losers bracket with all the losers from the first 8 and see how they stack up against each other. If you think that's a fun, good idea, let me know in the comments below. I hope you guys do like these type of videos, and with that being said, I hope to catch every single one of you on the next video. I love my entire Patreon crew, but the $6 or more members get a special shout out, and that is 2001 Monolithic, G Nava, Joaquin Juarez, HifiVega Audio, Travis McClendon, Brandon Hanna, William Berg, Boxboy Audio Sound Solutions, Jesus Tires, Dennis Cromwell Jr., Scott Dilbeck, D. Stewart, David Kozlik, Scott McCord, Matthew Tolberg, Cornut, Trucker 9000, Bobby Burkett, Kevin Lautner, James Childers, Baba, Thomas Marshall, and Living Loud with Andy. If you've ever wondered how can I support HifiVega, this is the way to do it. Check me out at patreon.com/HifiVega. We do an exclusive live stream for patrons only. Some of them get to join. It's a really fun time. You should definitely check it out.